My name is Arun Jagtiani, and I'm a proud St. Martin. In a few short weeks, our country is going to be heading to the polls to elect 15 new members to Parliament. There's 126 candidates from 9 different political parties that are contesting this election, and I think the entire voting population could benefit from knowing a little bit more about who these candidates are. Over the next few days, I'm going to interview a few new faces and a few political veterans. So join me, St. Martin, and let's talk politics. Welcome to another edition of Talking Politics with Arun. We're joined today by a historical figure in the St. Martin political scene. She is no stranger to anyone that has followed politics over the last few decades. She is a current member of Parliament. She is also the first ever Prime Minister of country St. Martin, the one, the only, Miss Sarah Wescott Williams, MP Sarah Wescott Williams. Thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to join us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank
you. It's an absolute pleasure. And as I mentioned, you need no introduction to those who are familiar with St. Martin politics. So let's get straight into it. First question is, you're on the campaign trail once again.
Yes.
While we were getting mic'd up off camera, we were trying to figure out how many times you've actually done this. And I think we came out with the number of 14. But for the benefit of the viewers, how long have you been serving in government and actively campaigning as a politician?
My first election that I contested was in 1990. And why would you have had such a high number? Because remember that for many years we had elections every 2 years, because you had the elections for the Parliament of the Netherlands Antilles, which also at the same time had the local elections. So when you count those up from 1990, you would indeed be way over 10 elections.
Wow.
So more than that for sure.
Well, it's interesting to have this conversation. Many of the candidates we've spoken to, it's their first or second time contesting an election, so it's truly an honor and a privilege to have you here today.
Thank you.
And how much longer can you see yourselves doing this?
You know, this is my work. This is my job.
Yes.
And as such, I look at it in terms like I would look at any ordinary job. How long am I able to sort of keep up with it? When would I have thought of going on retirement, for example?
Sure.
But if you look at it in political terms, I would say this 4-year term, which I hope could be a 4-year term.
Yes.
So following the elections
I
on
think
September 26th.
all of the St. Martin population shares that.
Indeed.
Yes.
And I think by that time, a couple of things would have fallen in place that I would like to see fall in place. One, that I could have a succession. Especially where the Democratic Party is concerned.
Yes.
That persons would have been trained and guided to take over the leadership of the party. I really would love to see that happen.
Sure.
In 2014, when we had election, I was sort of looking forward to that happening during the 4-year period 2014-2018. We know what came down, and we're having election midway that term.
Sure.
But 2016, 2020, God's willing, I really would like to see a good succession for the leadership of the Democratic Party, persons prepared to take over the mantle.
Sure. So you are, for those who may not know, you are the leader of the Democratic Party. You are obviously the #1 candidate on that list. And what you alluded to is something I've noticed when I look at the billboards. There's a lot of new faces on the DP. What does that say about where the party is? Well, I think you've kind of touched on that. It's kind of maybe at a transition.
Yes.
It shifts in power, so to speak. But going into the election, is there a realistic expectation from your side that your party can obtain 8 seats and actually have a mandate in government? Or is the strategy for this campaign really to position yourselves well for a coalition?
Every political party, from the smallest to the biggest, is actually clamoring for a majority of seats.
Sure.
So 8 or more.
Sure.
Realistically speaking, looking at the entire landscape and the politics of today, I don't believe any party, will come out with a total mandate. So in other words, with 8 or more seats. I don't believe that. Hence, while we too, in the campaign, of course, you could always express what you would like, what you would wish. But realistically speaking, I think we need to take into account that there will be coalition forming for sure. And I think this is indeed important for the people to understand. So when you have many politicians are going out there saying, I am going to do this and I'm going to do that once elected, I think that has to be nuanced somewhat, because it's not about what I personally would like to do, albeit that in terms of coalition forming, there's always a line that you draw.